What's going on? It's the RapNerd, and I just got out of seeing Lee Winnell's Wolfman, and this is a retelling or reimagining of the classic Universal Wolfman story. And this movie follows a family of three, a husband, wife, and daughter, who take a trip from their urban living in San Francisco to a rural farmhouse in Portland to tie up some loose ends for business. Don't want to spoil what that is, because that is part of the movie that I don't believe was presented in the trailers, but I'm leaving it vague for a reason. But as they get there, they're attacked by an unidentified species of animal, and the husband starts to show weird symptoms and begins a transformation of his own. Now, when I heard Lee was attached to this film as a writer and director, I was very excited because I love all of the films that he's done thus far. Insidious 3 was a great movie. Upgrade was great, which I saw, I think, in the last year, if I'm not mistaken. I've always wanted to watch it, but just kind of forgot. But that movie is great. And then Invisible Man is also fantastic as well. So to hear that he's helming Wolfman, it got me very excited. And off the start, I liked it. I enjoyed it a lot. I think it's a solid movie, but I can't front. I understand why the reviews have been so mixed. So before I get into what I like and love about the film, I want to touch base on that to set the expectations up as to why the reviews could be mixed and why some folks might not like this movie. So I think this film has three things going against it, and two of those are just a technical flaw, which can't really be debated or disputed, honestly. And I'm going to get into those first. So the thing about this movie is it presents something in the first act that never pays off in the film, and that was really a letdown because Lee is good at doing that. But all of those movies that I named previously, he was able to present a concept that plays out with the story and whatever horror elements are going along with it. Like, they kind of weave back and forth, and you see the point of why that's there and why this concept even exists. Here, you don't really get that, and I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want you going in looking for that thing and kind of ruining your experience off top. Just want to put it out there, though. And when they present it, I think what makes it such a gut punch of a move is because it's interesting of how they're weaving certain elements into the Wolfman lore and just how the story is building. But again, you don't really get that payoff, and I was so invested and interested to see how that was going to work along that I was literally waiting up until the final minutes to say, okay, are they going to tie this knot here, or is it going to be like a expositional dump here of why things are going on? And sadly don't get that, but it's there, but I just don't know what happened. They do a lot of visual references, for certain things, but it's never tied up with a bow on top to make you go, oh, okay, so this relates to this and that relates to that. And that was kind of a shame, even though for me personally, I was able to overlook it for the positives, like I said. But it's a clear issue and an elephant in the room that you can't ignore. And like I said, I noticed that when the credits rolled, I was like, man, I wish they would have, put this in here more. So that's one issue that I think is irrefutable. And then the next issue is with the characters. I think they are very thin, and part of it has to do with what they present at the beginning. Like I just said with that first issue, is they present so much. I was hoping that you would delve deeper into why those things are happening with the family dynamic. Like, you kind of get that with the dad because they do serve his character to show why that aspect that they planted is there, but you don't really see how it plays out with his wife and his daughter. They even present a different concept of there being some type of marital issues between the husband and the wife that doesn't really play out either. You don't know why they're not on the same page, and I was assuming that we would possibly get that later on, but you don't really get that. I thought there would be something definitive for that aspect, but you just really don't get that. All of the characters are one-dimensional. Like the dad's whole thing, you never get more of him to what they presented. And the same with the wife and the daughter. You don't get much of anything else from them besides being terrified of the shit that does happen. So that's the second thing, right? Now, those two I feel like are undisputable errors, but the third thing is preference. I've seen a lot of people not like the wolf design. Now, me, I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a nice spin to make things uncomfortable. Like, in my opinion, The direction of the wolf reminds me of what Matt Reeves did with the Joker in the deleted scene of the Batman. How this Joker is like, he makes me uncomfortable because he just looks weird and disgusting. And I feel like that works for me with this Wolfman. It almost feels like humanoid in a way that reminded me of something out of The Descent, but like a little bit more twisted with the aspects and details that they add to the body. And I felt grossed out every single time I would see the transformations and how it furthers and all of that. I feel like that was effective for what they were trying to do. And I like that spin, but I know for a lot of people that may not work. And I understand that. That's why I say it's a preference thing. But for me, that's not an issue. I loved it. So if you fit into that category and not liking the design, that means you have three things that can knock the movie down, and two of them are undisputable. And it's also something that they're hiding in the movie that you don't really see in the trailer at all. And when that presents itself, it makes it even cooler. So the dynamic of what you think is going to happen definitely changes. And I found it to make the story even more thrilling. There's a lot of nail-biting suspense and tension. Lee's direction, it is so particular here. I think they do a lot of cool things being trapped on this farm, utilizing, the house and things outside of the house. And another thing that made it such a thrilling ride is Lee did some really cool things when it comes to the werewolf transformation that I haven't seen done with any other film. It was very, very unique. And that's the part about the film that I really enjoyed and love, though it lacks in certain areas that really do matter, so I'm not going to deny that. But the creativity on full display here, I found to be riveting. I love what was done with the lighting and the colors, and even the sound palette was so dope. The perspective changes on certain things had me like, wow, that is an interesting take on how this worked. And if you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil it. I've seen other reviewers flat out say what it is, and I feel like doing that is a disservice to fans who are interested in the film. It can kind of take away, so I'm not going to say what that is, but I just found it to be one of the best parts of the film. And the last thing I wanted to add is the daughter's name is Ginger, and all I could think about was Ginger Snaps. That had to be a reference to my favorite werewolf movie, which I'm sure Lee respects highly, so I just had to throw it in there. So all in all, I really enjoyed Wolfman. I feel like it's solid, but still very, very enjoyable, and I will be purchasing the physical media. It is a very unique take on the werewolf lore, and I actually enjoy that aspect of it so much. So if you've seen the Wolfman, let me know in the comments what you thought, and if you can, try and keep it non-spoilerly because the movie did just release this weekend, so don't want to spoil it for anybody else. And if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe, and if you already are subscribed, thank you, and until next time, peace. RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. Instead of banking on it, now rapping is just a hobby.